I think the main thing is if you want a career in coffee, you have to be ready to accept the fact that a career in coffee looks sometimes like moving further away from the coffee.
What do you tell people who want to start coffee companies?
I tell them one thing.
What?
Welcome and welcome back, everyone, to the Valor Coffee Podcast. In today's episode, we sit down with someone who we have wanted to record with since we started. His name is Will Shurtz. He's from Methodical Coffee. He is honestly one of our biggest inspirations in the coffee industry. When we were first getting into coffee, we met Will. He was so incredibly nice, and most people out there, I think, would probably say that they've had similar experiences with Will. So Will just talks about his journey with Methodical, what they're up to now, where they're heading, what they're thinking of the coffee industry as it currently stands. Just gonna be real, this is one of my favorite podcasts we have ever recorded. So thank you for Will for coming out, and we hope that you guys really like the conversation with him. Some housekeeping, we're not gonna have a podcast next week. Next week is the day before Thanksgiving. It's gonna be wild. We're getting ready for Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales, so keep a lookout for that. But in the meantime, submit questions to our Q&A. You can send us an email to info@valor.coffee or to our Instagram @ValorCoffeePod. And also just go ahead and sign up for the Valor Coffee community. It's a platform we are going to be releasing at the top of next year. You can find it at the top link in the description below. Guys, we know it is annoying to ask this. We feel it when we watch YouTube videos, when we listen to podcasts, but we really wouldn't if we didn't mean it. When this podcast gets reviewed, liked, when you subscribe to our channel, it helps our reach grow and it helps us be able to do this more often and have a trajectory to keep doing this for forever. We think that what we are giving you guys is valuable information. We hope that you think so as well. And we want to keep doing that in the future. So please review on your podcast platform of choice, like this video on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube and your podcast platform of choice, and share our reels to your stories on Instagram @ValorCoffeePod. We post a few reels from every show. If you could share those with your friends to get the word out there, that would be awesome. Lastly, it's that time of year, Jolly Juice. Jolly Juice is our holiday blend. We release it every year, and it's tasting fire. This year, we've got 50% of a Brazil pea berry, we've got 40% of a natural Honduras, and 10% of a premium natural Costa Rican, and it's just tasting really good. Dark hot chocolate, cranberry, gingerbread house, those are the notes. And Jolly Juice it's one of the best times of year. It's on drip at our cafe. You can find it on our website. Buy a box, support the program. That's gonna do it for this prelude. Let's just jump right into our conversation with Will Shurtz.
Kid Rock lived in my neighborhood. He got kicked out.
Are you serious?
For hunting, because it's a wildlife refuge.
What?
And he
Mountain Park?
Yeah, he kept hunting.
Kid Rock lived around
in
here.
Roswell, yeah. I know.
What?
Hey, to Kid Rock.
To Kid Rock.
Yeah.
Thanks, kid.
May you keep rocking wherever you are.
Will,
Yeah.
welcome to the program.
Thank you. This is fun. This is already fun.
For those who don't know, I'm sitting next to Will Shurtz of Methodical Coffee.
And I'm sitting next to Ross Walters of Valor Coffee. Thanks for coming on, man.
And of Dawsonville, Georgia.
And of Dawsonville, Georgia.
Dawsonville, Georgia.
The little backstory here, we're just going to lay it all on the line. We have looked to you as an influencer, if you will.
Before that was even a term.
Before it was even a thing.
We've been
Yeah.
influenced.
For our company, for how we treat people, a little story. I remember one time Ross and I were sitting on the front patio of your downtown Greenville location. We'd never met you. We were just there drinking coffee. Probably knew who you were just from
We definitely
social
knew who you
media.
were, yeah.
And you walked up. I think you were like carrying like a box of cups or something like that. And you just saw Ross and I sitting outside, and you were like, "Hey, you guys look really cool."
Fantastic.
And I think that's pretty much the whole extent of the conversation.
Yeah.
Did I go inside with the cups?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we were like, wait. And you were like,
But
That was it.
that moment of just how you treat people well, even people you don't know, was something I think about a lot and something I strive to do, still don't do. I still don't even have the courage to just walk up to a jabroni sitting in our cafe and say, "Hey, you look really cool."
even
I
if you
doubt
did.
that. I bet you could.
I
Today
probably
could be your day.
I'm going to do it.
You've probably already done it.
I think at that time, maybe I was just 18 at the time and did not have a grasp on reality whatsoever. But what I perceived, at least in coffee industry, was like there was such a guarded nature to all of it. Like, oh, we're not going to talk to each other if we don't know each other. And you were like the first person that was nice to me in coffee. It was
You're kidding me.
and then it was JP McKenzie of Metal Art Coffee.
Oh, no way.
When he worked at Brash. But that literally set the trajectory for our company. Like, this is an industry I want to be in if it's like this. And
That's unreal.
yeah, so thank you.
Well, thank you for saying that. And it's funny though, because now I look at what y'all do and I kind of think y'all set the bar, which is amazing. I mean, not even that I visit your coffee shops very often, ever, right? Is that okay to say? Yeah.
You can say
That's
that.
okay to say.
But
Whatever's true.
You live in another
but
state.
the word gets around so frequently about y'all's customer service. So it's like, I think y'all kind of took it and ran with it. That's for sure.
Who influenced you to be the way that you are?
Oh man,
Sorry.
the first
You can just
person
stay
that comes
here.
to mind is David Lamont.
David Lamont?
David.
Yes.
He gets a shout out pretty often on this program.
Oh
He's-
man, he
he's-
needs it.
Incredibly nice, incredibly good looking.
Oh gosh.
Gosh. Yeah.
He's got
He
it
has
all.
he has really big muscles.
Oh, yeah,
I
he
tell him
does.
frequently.
I told him that the last time I saw him as
Yeah.
well.
Apparently
Yeah.
he can crush a golf ball.
Oh
Yeah.
really?
I wouldn't know. I had never been with him, but
Oh wow.
Oh, David, if you're listening,
Yeah.
Where's the invite?
I was just talking to somebody that said that they were at Topgolf with him recently.
Was it Caleb?
Caleb Hall?
Yes.
Yeah.
that's all Caleb talks about.
Small world.
That's hilarious.
That's all he talks about.
Top golf with
Oh
David
my
again.
gosh, that's funny.
He's riding around in his van listening to this in a week, and he's like, these guys are idiots.
That's hilarious.
Sorry, Caleb.
Thank you, Caleb. Sorry, Caleb.
But David Lamont inspired you.
David
Like,
Lamont.
How so?
I worked at, the second coffee shop I ever worked at was the one where I was in it forever. When I was like, oh, this is like it for me. And I was 18 years old. The first coffee shop got me in the door, which is cool. And then I heard about this place called Coffee and Crema. And have y'all ever heard about Coffee and Crema?
Now we have.
Where's
Coffee?
it at?
They don't exist anymore.
Oh.
But Shannon and his wife Youngwa started Coffee and Crema in Greenville, like some early 2000s.
Nice.
And it was the first specialty coffee shop in Greenville. And anybody who is in specialty coffee in Greenville has some relation, whether it's like they're just trying to live up to the greatness, or they came from there, or they just heard myth and legend about it. But Coffee and Crema was it. And so I got a job there, worked there, and we used counterculture coffee. And David at the time worked at counterculture, and he was our rep. And so he would come into the shop, and immediately, like the way, he's very kind and approachable, but also very professional.
Yeah.
I've always lacked the professional part, but and I hope I always do. I'm just kidding. I'm not really kidding. Maybe I am. I don't know yet. But David Lamont would come in and we would chat. I would make him coffee, and every scenario in the coffee world I brought up to him, he would come back with 10 thoughts about, is this a good idea or a bad idea? And he would like be thoughtful about the next step. And anytime I wanted to do something else, so after Coffee and Crema, I started a traveling coffee bar called Vagabond Barista. And before I did that, I brought it up to David. I was like, I think I want to start a traveling coffee bar. And he's going to laugh if he hears this, but he'll also agree. He was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
He was supportive, but he was also like, there's risks. There are risks. And but
Smart
so
guy.
he's just
Yeah. That's kind of what we
amazing.
say all the time on this podcast.
oh man. But I look up, he was one of my original role models, and I still look up to him so much. And then other than that, a lot of my role models are more so people that I would just like to emulate in my life, And it honestly, like, I'm having a hard time thinking of people now. I know that people have affected the way I think about love and relationships and honesty and being a person of your word and following through on what you say you're going to do. And but now, like right now, when I think about like the shoulders that I try to stand on, it's all about. I think it comes down to love and gratitude. So I'm sure David Lamont had a lot to do with that.
Yeah. I feel like you are really present in every interaction you have with people. Like you're completely there. You're at where you're standing.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's a good thing that goes a long way.
Thanks. It's that has been hard for me because really I get distracted pretty easily.
Yeah.
But in conversation, right now there's no people walking behind me that I know and would like to say hey to, but no, I probably shouldn't. But that's the main practice, is keeping that eye contact. When you're talking to someone that you know, whether you're working behind the bar or at work working or out and about, and you're like talking to them, but then you know that over there is someone that you want to talk to. That practice of like, I have to ignore them right now. Like, this is my moment to be with this person.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's been something for me to really focus on lately.
Yeah. You kind of like don't make eye contact with them because if you do, then they'll think like, why are they not coming over?
Yeah. Well, they'll think, why aren't they coming over? But the person that I'm talking to will think there's something more important going on over here now.
Right.
Even if you don't think that, it's just like, it's habit. Like, oh, I'm going to look over there. But just giving that person that you're talking to the moment,
My wife kind of called me out on that before of my, she was like, I can see when you're just like looking at other stuff. And now I think about that every time I'm in conversation with someone and I'm just like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My head just like looking around. I'm like looking at all these different people walking around. So that is a practice I'm trying to get better at myself.
Yes.
Locking in. So thanks for locking in with us.
Let's lock in,
Let's
man.
lock in,
Let's
baby.
lock eyes.
That whole thing is a term that we use sometimes, cafe IQ.
Cool.
Like your ability to operate in the cafe at a high level. There's so many different parts of that, but like so much of it just is like basic social, stuff.
Yeah.
That you learn over time. Like when we first started working behind the bar at Valor, it was just, behind a cart in a co-working space for hours and hours on end. And I did not know how to talk to people, but like that job taught me how to talk to people. So when we interview people now that I think that they don't know how to talk to people, I try to give them more grace in that situation because like this job taught me how to do that. So why not them,
Yeah.
But just some thoughts.
How's the cappuccino?
It's crazy.
Crazy Cappy?
Yeah.
That would be a crazy cap.
No cap.
No cap.
What? Yeah. Hey, what'd you bring us, Will? I
Kenya?
see the small rectangular sticker you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a small rectangular sticker.
There it is.
We can print those in-house. That's about it. Kenya Thunguri. Yeah, it's an anaerobic natural from Nieri. And I got that from Michael Montante from La Baia Coffee Importers. Have you ever heard about him? Mm-mm. Super cool guy. So, first or generation here. His parents are Italian. His whole family's from Sicily, but he lives in California. Oh, you're eating the beans again. Look at you. Oops.
He just loves coffee,
In any form.
Oh man! But he started this coffee importing company called La Baia, and he gets fun coffees.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What is do you have a title in Methodical besides like founder or owner? Or
Yes. Oh man! So we did this recently. My business partners Marco and David and myself. In the past year, we were like, all right, let's dial in. Or the past 2 years, I think. Which now there's more to this, but yes, no. Like Marco, my business partner, he's more like marketing and design, all marketing and design, but he fulfills kind of the CEO role, you would say. David, my business partner, does business operations, anything, keeping us from getting arrested.
Thanks,
I was about to
David.
say arrested. Arrested.
But then you said arrested. Yeah.
Arrested.
Keeps you a lot more innocent.
It does. It really
I
does.
don't want to get
Yeah,
arrested.
it decreases the probability of it actually happening.
Sorry, officer.
That's true. Coffee beans taste good. I don't want to get arrested.
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. That's nice.
Yeah.
But David fulfills the COO role.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know. I think there might be like a little C situation for it, but I don't know. But it's more product and sales. So up until recently, I would do all of the green coffee buying and all of the wholesale business. And that was kind of like it, like it started off when we first started. I ran the cafe and I was barista all day, every day. Then we started roasting, and I did everything for the operations of the roastery, right? What are we going to buy? What coffee are we going to buy? How are we going to roast it, package, ship it, sell it? And then now, up until recently, I bought it and I sold it. So, and then recently we've brought on a green coffee buyer who's kind of moving into that position. And I don't know. That's a question I've been having is like, when can a green coffee buyer be like a full-time position? Because I didn't expect this guy's job to fill up as much as it has. And I'm so happy that it has because I was hoping it would be busy. But there's so much to it. So he's moving more and more into that. And then we brought on Jennings, who is selling coffee. And in 2024, this is going to be funny. If Jennings hears this before I tell him this, it'll be okay. In 2024, I want to bring on another salesperson sometime next year. And so I think I will figure out like where do I want to sink my teeth into. I've always wanted a position to like really do,
Yeah.
Which maybe as a business owner, right? Y'all know is like that's the one luxury in any business, but we're in the coffee business. So like that's the one luxury in the coffee business that we don't necessarily get to have is being able to become 100% proficient at one singular role. And I crave that. I find myself craving that a lot because I got into this because I love working in the coffee industry, not because I love running or owning a business. That was kind of like a byproduct of the necessity to create a career out of the coffee world and be able to do that for other people in Greenville too. But now I'm finding like, man, if this green coffee role starts to get filled out, if this sales team starts to get built out, is there a way that I can like hone in on one role in this coffee company? I don't know.
So this sales role that you hired for, what would you say was like the main thing you wanted him to know going into that role, or like the main two things?
I want him to make people feel very special. Like, we recently came up with our core values. It's funny. I guess we've been around for almost 9 years.
Yeah.
We've always had some, but like these I feel really good about. And there's 5, but one of the main ones I think is the anchor. And I think everything, I said this earlier, but I think everything comes out of this. But gratitude is one of our core values as a company. And if Jennings in the sales role talks to a cafe and shows his genuine gratefulness towards them, opposed to subconsciously or consciously imposing the idea to the customer that they should be grateful that we are talking to them, right? Those are two opposite relationships.
Yeah.
And I want everyone, customers in the cafes, partners of our roasting facility, colleagues, friends and family, to know that we are the grateful ones, right? Like, I'm handing you this coffee, and I'm the grateful one, and I'm roasting coffee for you, and I'm the grateful one here, in this situation.
That's
So
beautiful.
this idea of gratitude, of thankfulness, and then if you have gratitude, I feel like, you're portraying to customers that you're a real human, that this company is a human company, that you love them and you want the best for them, and you're going to provide the best customer service and do what needs to happen to create the best relationship. So gratitude is what I want the sales gig to show everybody.
That's cool. That's not like salesy at all, is it?
Yeah, no. I interviewed a lot of people last year when I was hiring the first salesperson, and some people were just awesome salespeople. Like they knew how to sell stuff.
Whoa.
But it didn't feel right. It was like I was like, man, like something about it doesn't feel right. And then, some people when they were talking, they like might not have ever sold anything, but just like their desire to like make meaningful human connections was so like tangible that I couldn't ignore that.
Right.
So let's take a step back. You kind of touched on starting with a mobile operation. Can you walk us through, I guess, a little bit more in depth, that point or, your first couple of coffee jobs to now? And I'm sure, you guys have done a lot, so it might be a story, but I'm here for it.
That's a quick story, though.
We got time.
It's really it's a pretty quick story. Yes, so in high school, music was like my life. You can understand that, right?
I play music, yeah.
Music is your life.
Part of it.
It's his life.
I'm putting words in your mouth.
Yes, Will.
Music is what you live for.
I play gigs on the weekends.
Whoa, dude.
And it's fun.
I've heard about how good you are. Okay, I'm moving on so that I can have the last word there.
Okay. Yeah.
But in high school, music was like everything for me, and I wanted to do that for a living. And in the 11th grade, I started playing music in a gospel band, and they were all older than me and wanted to like bop around and like play shows different places and stuff. And so my parents let me do school online. So I left public school. I got sent this laptop, and I could do high school wherever internet was available. So I could travel with them, and we would like play music, and then I would just like get my computer out and do school real quick. I could do a day's worth of school in like 2 or 3 hours. And so when I wasn't traveling with them, like playing music, I had all day long. So I got a gig at a coffee shop downtown on Main Street, Liquid Highway.
Liquid Highway.
Do you remember them? Have you ever heard about them?
No, but it's the coolest name I've ever heard.
Oh, dude, yeah. And then it was like all their drinks were named after like different roads, like Alligator Alley and the One Way, and so it was cool. Streets, man.
Yeah.
Streets
There's a lot
and
to work
transport.
with there.
Yeah, the whole world is your.
Did they have a Route 66 drink?
I think so. I think that was one of the drip.
That's everybody's road of choice.
Highway
right?
1.
Highway 1, Valley Forge Drive. That was the street I grew
Highway
up on.
robbery could be their like $15 drink.
Nice,
That's
dude.
good.
That's awesome.
This man is a marketing mind.
We could sit
Yeah.
here for a second.
let's soak in.
Blue Ridge Parkway.
That's really nice. I feel like I'm blanking on names of things.
We can just blurt out roads while we keep going on this.
Throughout our whole conversation.
So you're working at Liquid Highway.
Working at Liquid Highway, and it was so fun. Like I was in the 11th grade, and I would wake up and I would drive to work instead of drive to school. I'd open the coffee shop, work my coffee bar shift, finish my shift, and then sit in the coffee shop and do high school. And I did that for a while, and I loved the freedom in high school of going to work every day and doing school online. But then I got a job at Coffee and Crema, which was this like, up until that point, and some experiences still are just the best coffee experiences I've ever had. Like the quality of coffee at this place in Greenville, it doesn't exist anymore. It was unreal. I sat down at the bar, and Shannon Hudgens was one of the owners. His wife Younghwa was the other, and he's this super like smart-witted, dry-humored guy. And you sit down and order something, and you hope he likes you, and then you're not completely sure. And then after your conversation, when you're walking out, you're like, all right, I had a good time in there. But it was the best coffee I had ever had.
What coffee were you guys pulling on espresso from Counterculture?
Toscano is what it was called,
Toscano,
which
never heard
now
that.
Toscano is now their
Big Trouble?
Big Trouble.
Yeah.
Yes. Big Trouble used to be called Toscano.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, because it was all like Italian.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
It was awesome. And that was the main one. Rustico, which is now Apollo.
Whoa. Dang. They've really changed.
Oh, they changed.
This was before our time
Yeah,
in
for sure.
in counterculture.
Oh man, yeah. Okay, and then I worked there. I got a job at Coffee and Crema, and it was like my dream come true. I offered one day to work for free because I just wanted to learn. I was starting to get into coffee at this point. It was the summer between 11th and 12th grade, and I was like, I'll work here for free. And Shannon was like, sounds good. And so
You're hired.
the next day, I showed up. I showed up to work for free, and I worked a whole shift, 8 hours, and I learned so much. Alex Medina, who owns Junto Coffee, was the dude there.
Wow.
And so him and I met, and like he taught me everything. And
Are you still in 11th grade?
I was like almost in 12th grade,
Like almost.
summer break, almost
Yeah.
in the 12th grade. I was close.
So Junto's in Greenville as well.
Junto's in Greenville.
So this place really was like a launching pad for the new generation of
Yeah.
coffee
It was
in Greenville. That's
truly,
cool.
yeah. And so I worked there a day for free, learned so much, and the next day Alex called me and was like, "All right, we're going to hire you." And so I was like, "That's it. Like that's the end of my road. Like that's my dream.
Yeah.
I am done. You know, $7.25 an hour. Like that's all I need in life." And so worked there, really fell in love with coffee, and then decided I'm not going to go to school for music. I was going to go to MTSU for recording engineering. Called them, said, "Thank you for the acceptance, and I am not going. Thank you very much." But I was like still doing school. I was a little late finishing school. I still had a whole semester to do in a week, or I had to start the year over. But by this point, I knew I'm starting a company called Vagabond Barista, and I'm going to work at Coffee and Crema and set up at events, you know. And I had a siphon, Clever Dripper, and Chemex, and then
That's all you need.
glass Irish coffee mugs. And I was like, showed up.
Crush some volume with that setup.
Irish
Yeah,
coffee.
yeah, dude. I was flying like 2 cups of
got
coffee every
3
30
arms.
minutes.
I'll be right with you.
Yeah. Like a megaphone. It was hilarious. Oh, there were funny times.
Did you use counterculture for
I used
Vagabond?
I used counterculture, ceremony, Huckleberry. Then I found out about Onyx coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So I started using Onyx coffee near the end of that.
So you really like developed a relationship with them and like stuck with those guys for a hot minute, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, because later on when we open Methodical, you'll see those people all come back to that bar.
Oh, that's right.
Parlor Coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so those people, I guess I could also say, are my role models. Like people like Cohen from Huckleberry. John was really helpful for a good long while. You know, Mark Michelson, when he was roasting coffee at Onyx, would like help out. Everyone's just open book. It was really nice. Sean Stewart. Okay. All right. I need to stop saying people's names. It's like roads. It's like roads.
Highway 400, I-85, I-75, 575.
But you were
so funny.
18 when you started.
When I started Vagabond Barista, I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then
and you just started with what you had. You're just like, I'm going to do
I had
this business.
Yeah, I started with the coffee gear that I would just like make coffee at home with.
What year is it?
2012.
Nice.
Yeah, 2012. And Vagabond Barista, did that for 3 years. Finished high school. I called the principal from my school. It was like, I'm not going to be able to finish a semester in a week, but I'm not going to go to college. I'm starting a coffee bar. Is there any possible way I can graduate high school still? And
I love that.
yeah, now I can't say what school it is because I don't want anyone to get in trouble. But he was
Don't
like,
get any ideas, kids.
But he said, all right, if you take the exam and pass it, then I'll mail you your diploma.
Wow.
And so took the exam, passed it. I don't even know what my grade was. And I've never seen my diploma, but I know I have it somewhere. I
We
think my
believe
mom
you.
High
has
school
it.
graduates.
Yeah.
There's 4 of them here, baby.
We did it. We did
I
it.
mean, I guess you haven't really needed your diploma, right?
No, not at all.
So at that point, why'd you even do it, you know?
I know. Well, I wish I would have had that foresight.
Dude,
I'm quitting school.
I don't know if you watched.
That's a waste of time.
I don't know if you watch SpongeBob,
I love SpongeBob.
but when he's finally going to be able to graduate his driving school,
dude.
he just has to write a one-word sentence. What I learned in boating school is blankety, blankety, blank.
Is that when he flipped out?
Yeah, he couldn't do it, and he couldn't draw anything. It reminds me of, I just wonder what your high school exam was like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the big toe popping out of the shoe, just barely touching the gas pedal. You remember that part? Yeah.
Ross.
Yeah, I'm
Ross, right?
I'm kind of like
Remember
not
that?
talking right now. It's fine though. That's fine.
That's really funny.
But
All
congrats
right,
on passing.
I'm sorry. I hijacked there. So
So Vagabond.
Vagabond
Vagabond.
Barista for 3 years, on and off at Coffee and Crema. Then my friend Marco, who was a customer at Coffee and Crema and became a friend, he texted me one day and he was like, "Do you want to start a coffee shop together?" And he was living in Atlanta at the time.
Whoa.
He was working for MailChimp. And he was like a tech guy and he wanted to get his hands on something more tangible, you know?
Is he older than you?
Yes. He's older. He's like about 10 years older.
Oh,
A
cool.
little more than that. I like to remind him of that. I'm just kidding.
Hey, you're over 10 years older than me.
Hello. You could be a very young father of mine. Maybe if you adopted me.
yeah.
But he texted me and he was like, "Do you want to start a coffee shop?" And it was perfect timing because I was getting a little bit burnt out on Vagabond Barista because I was mostly doing it by myself. Alex Medina would help me out a lot. I had other friends who would help me out a ton that would end up working at Methodical when we first opened. But I was just like, it was kind of lonely. And I was like, man, we're like, this isn't what we're getting into the coffee world for, to like be alone, you know? And so it was a breath of fresh air. And I was like, yes, but we need my friend David. And they didn't know each other at the time, but David was the business operations guy. He came from the hospitality world. He moved out to Prague in, I don't know when, but for 5 years, he lived in Prague and he started a hostel hotel company and ran
Holy
that.
crap.
So he had like this business operations mind and he fell in love with coffee out there. He came back to the States wanting to do a coffee company. And so Margaret said, "Do you want to start a shop?" I was like, "Yes, we need David." And we all met, kicked it off, and became great friends. And Marco's marketing and design, David's operations, I'm the coffee guy. And that's just kind of like been the way it's been for almost February will be 9 years since we've been open. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first time we went to Methodical, you definitely had Onyx on bar, and you had that. You still have that K30 twin.
We still have it.
You still have it.
We still
oh
use
my
it.
Gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the first time I saw that, and I was like, "Whoa, it's a twin."
A twin.
I think it's probably like brand new back then.
Yeah.
And it's like, hadn't
Now they
seen
don't
any of
even
those.
make them anymore. I don't think.
Yeah, and then you had the Slayer
Had the Slayer, which we still have at one of our shops.
at one of, and then you replaced it with the Linea, right?
Yeah.
That has the flowers on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool
Dude,
times.
I don't
Yeah,
think this is one of our questions, but how did you get that awesome cafe spot? That's like one of the
That's
most
a great
like
question.
distinct,
Oh, yeah.
The
cool,
loft.
I can't believe it.
awesome.
We were looking for like a year, I guess, for a space, maybe a little less than that. But this guy named Joseph Fuderick. I'm closer to him than me not knowing how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
Makes it sound.
Okay.
Joseph, if you're listening to this,
I will be surprised.
we're shocked.
Welcome.
Hey, go to bed.
Yes. Go to bed.
That's what I said last week. I was like, Dale, if you're listening to this, go to bed. Because you know how celebrities say that when they win an award and their kids are watching?
Yes.
And Ross and I said, no, we don't know that.
Yeah,
What
'cause-
are you talking about?
Yeah.
Shut up. Let's get back on topic.
But now I'm stealing the joke. So thank you.
Really funny.
I'm a forerunner for comedy. So,
You're misunderstood.
anyways, Joseph, Fuderick.
He found the space for us. So we were looking for space, and he is a real estate guy, and he found this space that was available for lease.
And are you thinking Greenville the whole time? You're like, we are putting a coffee
yeah.
shop in Greenville.
Yeah, Greenville is it. Like the reason why we initially started, why I was excited to start a coffee company in Greenville, is to like generate more career paths for coffee in Greenville, and so it had to be Greenville, and
Because that's what you didn't have.
that's what I didn't have.
Yeah.
I had jobs but no career path. You know,
And was this place in close proximity to Coffee and Crema?
it was across the street.
What was that like?
It was tough. It was across the street from a Coffee and Crema, and I told Shannon early on, like, all right, my friends and I are planning on starting a coffee company, you know? And I didn't know where we were going to be. And then we found this space that was across the street. And we couldn't say no. It was like perfect space. This family that owns so many things in Greenville owned this tall office building that the space is at the bottom of. And they are the reason we were able to move in there. Like, so many other companies wanted that space, you know, corporate, big-time companies that could pay kind of whatever the asking price was. But this family wanted a local shop, and so they were like hearing us out. They also didn't want a coffee shop that was kind of like not good, you know? And so they vetted us a lot. You know, they were like, "What's your vision? Like, show us a design board. Like, what are you gonna do?
What are your extraction percentages?"
Yes, that would have been hilarious. At the time, I would have been like, "What?"
Oh, good.
We're like, brew us a
100%.
siphon. We have a refractometer.
I will make you 100% coffee.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Your money back.
Yeah. If this is orange juice, you don't pay for it. But Joseph found it. The family that owned the building really got us into it. And I told Robert, that's the guy that owned the building. That's funny. I told Shannon when we found the space, like, man, like, we found a space and it's across the street. And the way he responded, I mean, it's kind of like I would have expected. You know, he responded well, but for some reason he knew, and I didn't think at the time. He was like, if y'all open up, like, y'all are young. There's 3 of you. Y'all have, like, some financing to do what needs to be done for a good shop, is what he said. Like, he knew what needed to happen. But he said, but after y'all open up, you're probably going to put me out of business.
Wow.
And here I was, Shannon, who had taught me everything in coffee, and Ben, he started the company that made me want to get into coffee, saying, we're opening a company. Oh, and we found a space across the street from you. And then he says, you should do that. Also, it's going to put me out of business.
Jeez.
And I was like, whoa. And it was kind of heavy, you know, like, I might have even cried, like, walking away from that conversation, just being so sad that he thought that is what I was thinking at the time. I didn't think that. I was like, no, surely not. And, you know, 5 months after we opened, he went out of business. And
That's a crazy story, man.
yeah,
Wow.
but he told me, he was like, you should do this, you know?
Yeah.
But this is what's going to happen. And so it was tough. I think it was one of my first experiences in business where I had to make a decision that I knew was for the better, but wouldn't necessarily be good for everybody,
Yeah.
which is tough. And so that was tough. And it worked out. And now Shannon and his wife, Younghwa, live back in South Korea with near Younghwa's family. And I keep in touch with him every once in a while, and he's loving life. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So was that place, because I'm recalling now, so you've got Methodical, and then there's Anthropology, and if you keep walking that way, was it that way?
Yes, it was a window in the wall,
Okay.
not a window in the wall. It was a
Hole
we called it a hole in the wall. It was a hole in the wall.
Because there's that, like, underground place.
Coffee Underground.
Coffee Underground.
You would walk up to Coffee Underground, where Main Street is, take a right, and it was directly on your left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's really close by. Like a 60-second walk from our coffee shop.
Okay, and then what year did Methodical open?
2015.
2015. Okay.
Yeah, I was 22.
Yeah. So that would have been, like, we probably came to Methodical right around that time, right?
February.
First trip, yeah, for sure.
Because we were 22 when Alpharetta opened, right?
I remember
4 years later.
y'all saying that, like back in the day. Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
You're just 4 years ahead, man. Oh, sorry.
What?
In age, but y'all are already getting pretty ahead here.
No,
No
This
way.
place is amazing.
we're not doing what you guys were 4 years ago. That's just facts.
I don't believe that.
But I guess my next question, for all those people looking to start something out there, what do you think attributed to, it seems like doors opened, and then especially your Instagram following was just like, bang.
Yeah. The Instagram following, that was like, that was Marco, my business partner, Marco.
I mean, your space is sick. That was a big part of it too.
Good design.
The wallpaper, the Slayer, the multi-roaster.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Mm-hmm.
That all
I think,
helped.
oh yeah, massively. I mean, it's so impactful what good design will do for you, right? Like, it's crazy. Like, if we were just as nice as we are, made just as good coffee as we always have, but the space didn't feel good and look good, then not nearly as many people would come back, you know? And if the space looked amazing and the people aren't nice, other people wouldn't come back, you know?
For sure.
But I think a good environment, good customer experience, and a good product are 3 pillars of good companies anywhere. And I do think it's rare for companies to have all 3, but I also think that is a major contributor to companies' successes.
Yeah. What do you tell people who want to start coffee companies?
I tell them one thing.
What?
I think, no, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay.
I just realized that.
You probably hear that all the time, right? Like
Very often.
people wanting to start, young and old, you know.
Yes.
People that were your age, people that, you know, this is their 3rd venture that they're getting into in their lives. Mm-hmm. What I noticed in you was a immense amount of passion for coffee, you know, because you had this music thing going on. You had opportunity with it. You're going to go to school, but then you took $7.25 and then for free for a day. But
For a day.
you know, but that illustrates passion, and that's. I think we said that on the last podcast that like coffee's not going to just be this cash cow, especially in the beginning. So you have to have passion. So that was what you had, but like, what do you tell people that want to start a coffee company of some sort?
I think the main thing I see, I mean, yeah, like, you know, curiosity, consistency. Okay, back up. The main thing I see in a lot of people that want to start a coffee company, but then end up not starting a coffee company, is they think they've waited long enough and that nothing has come their way. So they get a better opportunity or an easier opportunity somewhere else, and they decide to take it because they think they waited. You know,
Waited in terms of they started it and they're not getting the results they needed, or what?
No, like I think a lot of people that wanted to get into the coffee world as a career path are early enough on where they can become baristas and be okay, like making like, I don't know, whatever the coffee shop offers, you know. They don't have a family of 7 and like 2 college loans to pay off. A lot of them can like ease their way in by being a barista, which is, I think, is the smartest thing to do if you can. But the consistency part is like not getting out of the coffee industry before your opportunity really arises. Too many people, I think, are a little too impatient with just waiting. Like, just stay in the coffee industry. Like, do what you can do. If a movement is lateral, think really hard about whether you should take that movement or not. You know,
Yeah.
If a movement is closer to your end goal, then it's probably a good decision, right? But too many people leave the industry too early, and an opportunity was probably just around the corner. Or too many people keep hopping around from company to company because it feels like growth when it's really just the same gig somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's a great point. That's real.
Yeah, that was definitely a topic I wanted to discuss. Just the reality that we as cafe owners have a lot of awesome people who walk through our doors and want to work for us. But yeah, like you said, the reality is, maybe they start working for us when they're 20, but then they're 23 and they want to get married and they want to really provide for their family, which I totally get. What's kind of your, take on that, in the sense that, there's only so many management positions that lead to salary career. yeah, how do you think about all that?
It's so tough. It is tough. So when I'm thinking about like a career path in coffee, I do think that it's rare. I think it's very possible to be a career barista, but I also think it's rare. I think it's rare to make the money that a lot of people desire to make as a barista forever. Like, and I also think it's rare that you don't develop like just long-term injuries from being a service worker.
Yeah.
Especially with the wrong tamping technique.
I was thinking the
Check
same
out our
thing.
Yeah.
video for
But yeah,
Links below.
but I do. I mean, I think it's rare. I can also see why people want to do it because that's one of my favorite parts of the coffee world is being a barista.
Yeah.
But I do think being a barista is the easiest way to enter into the coffee world and the easiest way to move up. But then I think it's really important to have the mentality that if you want to have a career in the coffee world, a lot of career paths in the coffee world don't deal as much with coffee as you might think.
Yep.
You know? Like, so you have to think like, what type of career do you want to have? What are your strengths? Are you truly only passionate about coffee? Because if so, that narrows your career path to a very like needle thin opportunity that not many people will have. But if you have people strengths, management strengths, administrative strengths, operational strengths, then you need to learn the basis of the coffee company by being a barista. And then you need to kind of be eager to get more into the numbers and the management and the operations of things, because that's where the career paths usually lie. Mm-hmm. Still, though, you're right. Like, there's not a massive amount of opportunity. So maybe that is finding a company that in the interview process, sure, like they're interviewing you to see if you're the right fit, but you should probably also inquire with them what kind of career opportunities lie in the future. Because if the company's not the right fit, you're going to find yourself wanting to jump ship, and then you kind of start over again. But
Yeah.
barista, maybe lead barista, manager, that's when you stop getting out of coffee and more into people.
Scheduling.
Yeah, scheduling and so many administrative things. But then in the roasting world, right, you have to decide whether it's lateral or what's the opposite of lateral?
Like
diagonal.
Like
diagonal.
Vertical move.
Vertical move. Yeah, vertical move. But some people then, I think getting in whenever there is a roasting gig available, not necessarily to roast coffee, sometimes it looks like that's one opportunity that I think puts you in a whole bigger sphere of opportunity. If you start bagging coffee for a roastery, it might kind of not be so fun, but then you're like, oh, now you have a whole world of possibilities.
You're in the room though.
You're in the room.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you can roast, you can buy green coffee, you can sell the coffee, you can run more than one shop, you can
Train.
train. You can do maintenance and tech support. Like, there's so many things, but I think the main thing is if you want a career in coffee, you have to be ready to accept the fact that a career in coffee looks sometimes like moving further away from the coffee.
Yeah.
How you said one of your passions for starting Methodical is to create career paths in Greenville. How has that like initial dream and expectation hit reality over the last 7-9 years?
It's been fantastic. we have, there have been times that I think we haven't moved as fast as some people would want. So, like we've lost some amazing people because they decided like either one, like this company just isn't for me. They've got a better opportunity somewhere else, or they're just kind of like, all right, I've been waiting around, I got to get a move on. And they go to a different part of a work industry, right? Like not coffee. But ultimately, if I look at it, it's been amazing. Like we have 3 shops and a roasting facility. Ultimately, I think we have around 60 something people on our team. Wow. Most of them full-time. And we have 3 leads, a general manager that runs the 3 cafes, a chef, a head baker. We have a head roaster, a head of production, a head of shipping, a salesperson, a green coffee buyer. And like these are all career paths, right? Mm-hmm. And most of the people, not all, but most of the people, first of all, are full-time. And then also most of the people that are in all these positions were baristas first at the cafe.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's working pretty well. And I think for some people, it could have gone a lot faster. For some people, we would be just a different type of company, because growth sometimes looks like robotics, like it looks like you're becoming corporate, and not everyone likes that. And I'm the furthest thing from corporate, but I can see that some things that we do are automated, right? And they do feel corporate. And so...
What's your longest standing employee?
Ooh, man. Well, we just lost Steve, which was amazing. He was over 7 years. Mm-hmm. Right now, our longest standing employee would be, Allie. And she's been here over 7 years. Yeah.
Do people ever say, I miss the old Methodical?
All the time. And I miss the old Methodical.
Mm-hmm. Oh, describe the old Methodical.
Well, the oldest Methodical is when it was myself and 6 of my friends working the coffee bar, and we would all show up, open up shop, work a slammed day in the coffee bar. We would all help clean up, and then we would stand around in a circle, and I would say, who can work tomorrow?
Who's free tomorrow?
Yes.
Whoa.
Let's do it again. Roll it back.
I'm not joking. We did that for like 3 months.
Wow.
Bro.
And so, like, those were the old days, right? It's so fun. We had a blast. I mean, we were just slammed. Like, there weren't systems. We were taking walks after our shift. We would like have a beer during closing time. All these things that are just not really possible now. Gosh. But those were the old days, and they were a blast, But they were not sustainable in the least,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. People were working too much. There was no support system for people that wanted to grow in a career path for coffee at the time, because that was it. We just had one shop. That was what we were doing, and the owner was me at the time was the manager. So like a lot of times when the owner's the manager, that you're setting the cap for your baristas. You're like, well. Yep. If I'm the manager, you're not going to be the manager because I'm here. So in order for you to be here, I have to get out of this seat.
Yep.
And so getting out of the seats, I think, is really important. But people talk about it all the time, and it was amazing. But then we have to make a decision. Like, do we want to be a really fun company for 6 people to work at, or do we want to be a sustainable, growing company with career paths for 60 plus people to work at?
Wow.
What an amazing point. Like people say it all the time about Valor. Like, employees, guests, it's totally a thing. And your point about, okay, that was a really beautiful season, but if we stayed there, the old Methodical or the old Valor would actually kind of turn to poison.
Yes.
And so you have to like become more quote unquote corporate, with the systems and the roles. And it's like, actually we're implementing all of those structures for you. For like the only way we can sustain and bottle up what's happening right now in the old Methodical is to put these systems in place to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what's going to output the most good to the world,
For the longest time.
Yeah.
For the longest time. Yeah.
And it kind of makes me think of like hiring your friends, We've said it in the past. It's like, if you hire a friend and you're very blunt about like, this is probably going to change our relationship, but it could work out if we understand that and we admit that you being with this company is better than you and I hanging out once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question, or you want to go somewhere else?
Please.
What has been your experience?
Do you want to ask me a question though?
No, I was thinking our guests.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no one's been talking to Riley this
When
whole
am
time.
I going to get an interview?
You can be our guest next week.
Perfect.
Does that feel good?
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Okay.
You feel better?
All right. You just look forward to that.
Cool.
What has been your experience promoting from within versus hiring externally?
That's such an amazing question.
Stop
I
with
love
the
that
amazing questions.
Yeah, stop it.
I'm stirred.
Ew, stop.
I'm just trying to make
was trying to
reels
think
for you
about it.
Ross
guys.
just touched Ethan's chin.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just kind of really instinctual,
Yeah, it was sweet. It was
right?
sweet.
It felt good.
I was trying to think about a road, but couldn't think about a road. I still can't.
Oh, the
think.
Sun Road, Glacier National Park.
Ooh, going to the Sun Road.
Amazing.
Going to the Sun Road.
Yeah.
We call it the Sun Road, though, for short.
SR?
I was just in Whitefish, so
Okay.
Wow, you were, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Something about a
back
mocha.
to you, Will.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's ultimately just the best route, and that's why I'm so excited to grow the company, is to be able to promote from within. But it's similar to, like, I think there's a time for it, and there's a time that you kind of have to be honest with yourself, in that you won't be setting that person or your company up for success by doing so. You know, the more singular idea I have in my head is when you're hiring a new barista. I kind of think sometimes. Ooh,
Sorry.
there's a gnat in my face.
It's all right.
It's okay, everybody. I kind of think sometimes when we are hiring baristas, there is a time to hire someone who's never worked in the coffee industry, and then there is a time to hire a very seasoned, experienced barista. I don't think either are the only way to go. And I just think it's all up to your needs. Like, do you need someone to come in knowing exactly what they're doing that is able to be malleable to how you want them to do it? Or do you need someone to come in where you can show them absolutely everything from the ground up? And in both cases, the personality has to work. But in the case where you're hiring an experienced barista, it's usually because you're hiring something that you don't have the capacity or the time to provide yourself. And so in every scenario where we are hiring for a new position or a current position that we need more of, we open it up internally all the time. But like an example is our CFO. We just hired a CFO like 6 months ago. And this guy, Ethan, is just changing our lives. Like, he's providing so much support and stability and ideas for growth in the future and smart ways to do everything. And if we open that up internally, honestly, maybe some people would have applied, you know, for whether it was like a controller position or a CFO position, a finance position. But we realized we need someone who can bring to the table something we know nothing about. And so I think it's important to open it up internally to see who raises their hands. Like, I like to see like who's interested in moving up or moving over here or continuing to grow in the company. But every once in a while, it won't work out, and then I think it's very smart to hire from outside of the company.
Do you interview the people that raise their hand?
Yes.
Is it weird to interview one of your employees?
It used to be, yeah. Now it's kind of easier to interview an employee because I know better questions to ask people who I know pretty well. Deeper questions, more like rooted questions to ask. And here's the thing, back up a little bit. When an employee wants to interview for a new position at Methodical, I'm fascinated to ask them why. And so, because either it's because they want out of their current position, or they just think this is a new opportunity that they can be a good candidate for. And so every once in a while, I would interview someone for a new position and find out that if their current conditions were different, then they wouldn't have even thought. And so it's helped us become a better company. And then it just kind of flags people as like, I know 10 people in our company that are super interested in growing with the company, and they get our values and they want to keep pushing forward with us. And that's really nice to know. Yeah. And I don't necessarily think that people who don't want to grow with the company are lesser than. It's because we need people to do an amazing job where they currently are
that don't want to
for
grow
as long as they want. Exactly. Yeah. Like if somebody wants to be a barista for years and hone that and be amazing at that, you know, if the job, if the schedule, if the work, and if the pay meet their needs and their output is meeting our needs, then that's no lesser than wanting to grow, you know,
Absolutely.
with other positions. So, but I think it's incredibly valuable.
I have an interesting question because I don't even know my answer to it. What are your thoughts on paying more for an A player at the barista level?
Interesting.
Wow.
That does not have a trajectory towards manager, at least right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Just
And
to
just,
stay.
you know, I feel like some sales people would say A players, you know, produce 30% more in revenue or something like that. I know it's a little interesting whenever you're talking about like a barista position, but yeah, like I said, I don't know my answer to that question, but
Yeah. I mean, just thinking through it, so we have pay bands for every position in the company. Like, here's the minimum and here's the maximum pay for this position. If you want more pay, then you have to move to another position, you know? But if you get your max pay and you're killing it and you're loving it, cool. Like, everything's good, you know? But the pay bands are a accumulation of time at the company or experience or, you know, skill sets added to their repertoire of what they can offer. And so, repertoire.
Rapport, repertoire.
Man, that's funny. Words from earlier. But it is pretty tricky. I'm just thinking about this out loud. But I think, like, say we are hiring for a barista position, and someone comes on and interviews and has been a barista for 10 years and is an amazing person that holds the values that we want at Methodical, but they also can't come on at a certain rate. They have to come on at another rate because that's what they're used to making. I would entertain that idea.
maybe run it past Ethan.
Oh, yeah. Well, now I've run it past Ethan. I run everything past Ethan.
This guy needs $120,000 to be a barista, but I think it's gonna be really good.
You should see his latte.
His
art.
name's Chris
Also,
Baca.
I already said yes.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Can you have some of your money?
Yeah.
We can move some stuff
Come on,
around.
you'll be okay.
You're fine.
You got savings?
Oh, I would entertain it but it is super tricky to think about doing that.
That's a good
Whoa,
question.
that's a really good question.
Yeah. It's
It would
like
have
how
to fit within the pay band,
Okay.
but then, you know, because I would certainly not, and there would have to be so many good reasons. Like, if I got the sense that, you know, someone's interviewing, I say, we start at this rate an hour, and they're like, can I do like $4 more? And I say, why? And they're like, I just need a, I don't know, you know, like,
Need a
I need
Lambo.
that money.
Sounds
Yeah.
better.
Then I'm
More is
like,
better.
well, like, we start at this rate. But if I'm the one that kind of even gets the sense, like, they would have to bring something to the company that we don't already have. Be willing. They would have to have the personality that is, like, servant-minded, first of all. Like, someone coming in, if you pay them more than everyone else. And also, if they're, like, thinking they're, like, the top dog.
Yep.
That is like, no.
There's
no.
levels.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, listeners. Go to Greenville, South Carolina, and get you a high-paying barista job.
You might as well just move there.
Yeah.
Just, you don't have to interview.
All you gotta do
Don't
is
even think. Just go.
Just text me.
Yeah, we'll put Will's number in the show notes.
Just text me a picture of a latte.
It's got to be good though.
It could be anybody's latte.
Oh, it looks like
Yeah, I don't
Ethan's
know
taking
what
a
I would
bathroom
do.
break.
Oh, TT. Time of TT.
Well, here's a fun question: do you still brew coffee at home?
Oh, yeah. Mostly for my wife. I have this routine now where so I had a heart surgery
Wow.
almost 2 years ago now.
Wow.
Open heart, valve transplant.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was wild. It wasn't an emergency. I was born with a bad heart valve. And it was just like, that moment changed everything for me in my patterns, which is really nice because the first 6.5 years, maybe 5, 7. I'm not sure. First 6.5 years of Methodical, my routine was I wake up early, right? Like 4:30 in the morning. I get ready. I get out the house. I work all day. I get home by 6. And this whole time, I am married to my wife, Jennifer. And so we had this pattern, and eventually I got weekends off, but we had this pattern where I would wake up, be out of the house before she's awake for years, during the weekday. Not cool. Not cool forever, necessary sometimes, but not cool forever. And so I had heart surgery. I was gone. Couldn't do anything for a long time. Everything was perfectly fine. And I was like, I don't need to be determining the value of my work based off the amount of my work, and that's what I was doing. But now I do brew coffee at home. So I wake up, I still wake up, but I stay home, hang out, let the dogs out, feed the dogs. Jennifer wakes up. I'll make her coffee and I'll make our oatmeal, and she'll be out the door. I hand her coffee, and then I'm out the door afterwards. And then I get home before her usually. And I'm loving this new routine. And the quality of my work has increased, and the amount of my work has decreased, and the quality of my life has like never been better. And it always needs to get better. But I'm brewing coffee at home on the Clever Dripper, which is like what I learned at Coffee and Crema in high school, And I think right now the Clever Dripper is my favorite brew method.
Do you do water first, then coffee?
Yes, I do part of the water first, then coffee, then water. Whoa. So I'll do, anywhere from a 14 to 16:1 ratio. And then usually what I do is I'll fill it up in the morning. So I'll do like 30 grams of coffee and 500 milliliters of water. But I will pour 100 milliliters of water, dump all the coffee in, and then agitate the coffee by pouring the rest of the water in. And then I don't do anything. I put the top on, 2.5 minutes, put that on top of the vessel, and I give it a whirly stir, and I just let it sit. So it's about a 3.5 minute brew, but I love it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, water first. You were right about that, man.
What are you grinding on at home?
I have a fellow Ode grinder.
Nice.
And I love it.
I forgot about the top for the Clever.
The top, dude.
That seems crucial.
Oh, yeah.
The top is nice.
I
Temperature.
think we threw ours away, honestly.
Yeah.
Who needs this?
Yeah.
Yeah, tops are whatever,
I think Ode would fare better for me at home. Sorry, the Clever would fare better for me at home on my Ode than the EK. It always clogs on my EK.
You have an EK at home?
No.
He just calls everything in the warehouse his. Yeah.
I said the EK.
You did say the. He said. Uh-oh.
Are you sure?
I think I did.
Sorry, Will. They
I'll
get
play
like
it back
this
in the edit
a
of
lot.
me saying
Play it back.
the EK.
I'm going to
You'll
put my
just
money
say
on
the.
my EK.
And then put it in there.
But I don't know. We just use stock Malcolm verse, and it's like the fines clog.
Even when you add the water first?
I mean, sometimes. But
Yeah,
no,
I can attest.
Wow, okay.
It's better when you add the water first. For
Way
sure. And that's
better.
Why I asked. But I don't know. Even I've been brewing on that next level Pulsar. You ever seen that? Or
No, I need to go look at that afterwards.
it's fun. Here I can't brew on it at all because of the fines distribution of the EK.
That's so
but
fascinating.
At home, it's the best manual brew method I've ever used.
What?
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
Pulsar?
Yeah, it's got that top part is like a shower head.
Here, let's just grab it.
Oh, cool. I've never seen that before.
Hey, I got a question once you show them that. Dibs.
So it has a valve, and you close. So put your coffee in, do your bloom.
Paper
As soon
filter.
as the bloom starts dripping, there's just a paper filter at the bottom and one hole, so it's no bypass. As soon as it starts dripping, you cut off the valve, and then your bloom is like full immersion and it retains the water. Yeah. And then once a minute passes and your bloom is done, you open up the valve and then you brew it like a pour over. But
Are you kidding me?
using the shower screen.
I've never seen this, heard about this, known anything about this.
Yeah.
Is it a new brewer?
It's pretty new. You know Jonathan Gagne? He has a book called The Physics of Filter Coffee. It's relatively new.
I've
think.
heard about that book. I've never.
Yeah. He made this in partnership with Next Level. And it's great. I really like it. I don't know if it would be cafe viable because of all the stuff you got to do, but it's
and you're supposed to do a lot of slow and multiple pulses.
Whoa.
So you're just keeping it like here the whole time, and you're just like putting a little bit of water in.
Yeah.
I like that.
But you can do different stuff too. Like he has a recipe on his website for like a cupping style brew.
No way.
And he just like fills it all up, and it's like just like an immersion brew, and then steeps it and then drains it, but through a paper filter, so it's like a little more clear.
I got to taste something on that.
And then you cup it.
No, it's
Oh,
just
then you
like
drink it.
called a
Cupping
cupping
style.
style brew.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
right.
cupping.
Yeah,
It's
you
a,
get
it's a
it?
cupping
Yeah,
style.
no, I'm with it. I'm with it.
We all know about it. Yeah.
What was your question, Ethan?
It was a little more different, but I was thinking, you're so nice and you're so sweet to people.
Thank you.
What's been your journey like of making hard decisions as a boss? And
Oh, yeah.
because personally, I struggled with people pleasing. I wanted every end result to be extremely positive and good every time. And I know there's like ultimate good, but how have you viewed Methodical and yourself in ownership as like having to make harder decisions? How's that evolved for you?
Dude, it was so hard because like ideally, like I want everyone to love me so much, like if you get to like one of my most selfish desires is to be loved by as many people as possible. And so in order to do that, when I was younger than I am now, I was like, it was when I had to do something hard, that would be what I thought about. Be like, oh man, like I want this person to have a good experience. I want them to still like me, which I think I confused for respecting me too, And it was just so tough. And I think for me, it's only been the past 2 years that I'm somewhat getting a grasp on hard things. And I think the realization that, what's Brene Brown say? Clear is kind.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
The thought that to be honest and clear with someone is the kindest thing we can do for them supports a lot of my actions now. And also, I think people could get a sense of when I'm doing something in a scared way to try to get them to still be happy or to still like me or to not be upset. People get this sense of insincerity. And I've experienced a lot, in my marriage, like honesty, follow through, saying hard things has resulted in a lot closer relationship with my wife. And it also does so with people I work with. And so, and y'all know this more than I do, but my wife, I know the fact that my wife is pregnant more than you do, but you know about kids more than I do.
We know she's
but
pregnant.
I guess that's 100% for all of us. We know that she's pregnant.
Congratulations, by the way.
Wow.
But I was listening to this person talk the other day, and they were talking about how when a kid is being raised, here's where y'all know more than me. When a kid is being raised to cater to their feelings, eventually that kid feels less secure under your leadership, is what this person was saying. And they were talking about how if you show this child that you are their authority figure and that the decisions that you make that they might not like are going to impact them for the better, and even if they're not happy with it, it's just kind of the way things have to be, eventually that kid feels safer under your leadership and feels like they don't have to be the ones leading anything. And I started to think about this idea in work relationships with people who technically I'm in like a leadership role. I think a lot of people want to feel safe and they want to feel supported and loved, and they want to have clear vision for the future. And so if we have to make a decision that somebody is not going to like and it's going to make them sad or mad or scared, but it's the better decision for their future, for our future. I think I've learned that to have more meaningful relationships in life and in business, you have to say hard things and do hard things, and the benefits come afterwards, in opposition to having immediate gratification of an easy conversation that actually doesn't really mean anything, you know?
Yeah.
Whoa. It's a good word, man.
Here's a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
did you have
you're
something to
fine.
say?
I just asked the question, so I get one response.
Okay. Sorry, I just can't stop
Like a rebuttal.
doing
Yeah.
that.
Like
It
you get
is.
to argue with Will.
Well, I don't know
Here's
about
where
all
you're
that, buddy.
Well, I was just saying the metric of work relationships shift from like how happy or like nice am I being to how much am I acting with honor, so that in like ethical clarity, that when I have to say something hard, it's very real, clear, and honest.
Yes.
Because if you're just saying yes, 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 nice, 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 but that might lead to a very bad, like, we incredibly misled or we were very wrong about this, and now we have to turn back
Yeah.
all those short little nice
Yes.
conversations. But if we are real and we're honest all the way, we're going to end somewhere a lot better, and like without this abrupt turn, this 180, you know?
Right.
So I appreciate you saying that. Clear's kind.
Yeah.
Can we still talk with this on?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very sensitive my little ears. But yeah, like the whole like yes, 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 nice, nice, nice mentality is the mentality I fight against. But it helps me when I realize that like if I'm always saying yes, always being nice, always trying to cater to your good feelings, then really that just says I love myself. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm not loving those people.
Yeah. Keeping a sense of temporary false peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you are an owner of a coffee company that has 60 employees around there. Mm-hmm. And you have 3 cafes. When you walk into one of the cafes and something is going wrong, and it seems like you're the only one in the room that sees it, and maybe some of the customers are getting frustrated or like, you know, something's off. Mm-hmm. What do you do?
If I walk into a cafe and something is wrong and it seems like I'm the only one that notices, but it's affecting customers, I fix it right away.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, let me see.
It's like someone's chomping away.
No joke.
We actually have, I think I know the fella, our neighbor does woodworking occupational therapy for children with disabilities.
Are you
Mental
serious?
That's
Whoa.
sick.
That's
We
amazing.
need to go tell him to keep it down.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
We're recording a coffee podcast.
We can hear you.
That's hilarious. That's so funny.
That was a joke, by the way, in case you didn't get it.
Big joke.
Love therapy.
Love therapy.
Let me think about this. Something has happened in the past recently where this has been where this has happened. If I walk into a busy coffee shop, if I walk into a coffee shop and there is an air pot or a gravity pot, leaking coffee. This is what happened. I walked in. It was busy. There was a coffee pot on the counter, leaking coffee. This isn't a huge deal, but it is a deal.
Like drip, drip, drip.
Drip, drip, drip on the counter, on the floor, near the customer's table. And I noticed it.
You have a guest-facing airpot? Like
I don't think it was supposed to be where it was.
Okay. But
Yeah.
that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
cool.
Oh.
Yeah, but no. No, this was just something happened. I don't know what happened. But yeah, like I pick up the air pot, I clean up the mess, I put the air pot back where I think it's supposed to go, and it's okay. But yes, I fixed the problem if I think I'm the only one that knows about it. But to your point, if I walk into the shop and the shop, I think this is a very different scenario. If I walk into a shop and the shop isn't exactly operating in the way that I think it should operate, but the barista lead is there, the baristas are working, I think there's like a level of leniency that I will have because I don't want the baristas to think that I am lording anything over them. You know, a lot of the times in the shops, there will be scenarios happening that I think should happen differently, but it's more so my opinion and the barista being able to act out their authority and to do what's best that in the moment, that like do the best that they think should be done. I think a lot of times that says more than micromanaging a situation.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
The flow of that is hard, especially, you know, as you are in this role of you're not on the day-to-day with the baristas behind the bar, you know, so you don't have that relationship with them that you once had in the old Methodical, you know.
Yeah.
And so what happens after you notice something, I'm always so curious on like how people deal with that.
Yeah. If something is affecting a customer in the immediate scenario, I will fix it, but not in an authoritarian way. Like I probably won't be like, hello, like,
Yeah.
y'all just failed.
Just in a helpful way, like you.
Yeah, more like as if I'm working a shift, right?
Yeah.
Like I'll help out and I'll do this, but it's only when I think the vision for the shop is diverting from our vision for our company and the values that we hold, I'll correct that. You know, that's
Right.
when, you know, you have a walk with someone and try to align your values and your vision and remember like why we're here. But the minutia, like if trash needs to be picked up or if something is broken or if a customer doesn't know where to put their coat or any of that, yeah, like, you know, step in.
Yeah.
And in that way, it kind of builds a bond between baristas and myself.
What is one way that Methodical is different than how you expected? Did you expect to have 3 cafes and a thriving roastery?
No, I didn't. I didn't think we would roast coffee. It was like never. It was never my thought to roast coffee. I just wanted to keep opening cafes, and I thought 3 would be max. But I didn't think we would roast. But that was the second thing we did after our first shop opened.
Wow.
My friend David, business partner David, he fell in love with coffee through a roasting company. So he always wanted to roast. And then it made sense, you know? So no, I didn't think we would roast. I didn't think we would ever have like 60 plus employees. But I think the main difference is I didn't know it would be so difficult at times. Every once in a while, I'm like, wait a second. Do you know I'm a human? You know, like, I don't know. I didn't think it would be difficult at times to set up the way that we operate in a way that still portrays not only to our customers, but also to everyone that is working at Methodical, that we're still a very human company. Like, we care for you, and I didn't think it would be so difficult to grow now to be like the size that we're hoping to be one day, but to keep our heart, not necessarily to keep our heart, but to show everyone involved that we still do have a heart. It's complicated because people think once you start to get into these systems, they just start to develop all these thoughts about who you are as a person and like what your motive is in business now. And so I didn't think it would happen where we have to like get so structured in a way where we're constantly communicating our values to the people that we work with and showing, not just communicating, but like showing through action that we're just humans. Like, we're just the same people wanting to grow the company, but we still love and hurt and care and make mistakes and want to have fun, you know? So it's like the same thing, just more people.
So you got all these people forming potentially faulty views about your motives. Not that it's a rampant problem, but like,
Right.
what is the motive that you would be most concerned that someone would think you have?
I think the thing I would be most concerned about, and it's happened before, luckily it isn't rampant, but it's happened before where I'm concerned that people will think that we want to grow our company at the expense of their work-life balance,
Whoa.
or at the expense of their person. And I never want that to be the case, And there it is. It's like, I want to grow. And to me, it's exciting. And to a lot of people I work with, I can see it's exciting. And I want that to be the case for everyone. I want to be like, dude, let's just all do this together. Let's keep going and chugging along and being scrappy when we have to and growing. But I think there is a risk if we don't communicate the right way and act in the right way and develop the support system that needs to be there with a growing company, that people will think that we're wanting to grow at the expense of them, not grow with them.
It's so interesting that all can be a byproduct of a core vision of trying to create careers for people, because you're creating something that's so big that you can't do it by yourself, and then you have to give responsibility to people. But if things aren't going well, what can be viewed as I'm giving you responsibility is I'm giving you a big burden, and then you have to take care of these people. So it really seems like care is kind of at that foundation, care and trust, right? Do we trust that Methodical, the leadership is there for me? Ross and I were kind of talking about that the other day about just because of the way a company evolves, you have to have these changing expectations all the time of people I used to work with behind the bar 5 days a week. I don't work behind the bar anymore, nearly as much. And so it's it's so easy for the thought process to be he's not around anymore. But it's no, we hired a manager to take care of you guys. You're yeah, but you're not.
Exactly.
And you're no, we got someone to take care of this place. And they're well, now it's their burden. And it's oh man, but it's such a fine line because, if it is all going well, it's exactly what that vision is of we're entrusting this beautiful, well-oiled thing to you, and you just have to keep going. And we're also here to help you while that's happening. But I was just thinking about how I was on our team communication app, and I was oh my gosh, I think it says we have 30 people a part of the company, 31 or something. And I was I don't even know 30 people. How I'm so relationally driven. I'm how can I have a deep, intimate relationship with all these people? And you just start to realize I can't.
Right.
And you really have to trust that the people you're giving that responsibility to are the ones who have that deep, intimate relationship. You're almost recreating that magic of old Methodical or old Valor, where it is just these clusters of people that are we're all in this together, but it has to happen in multiple areas in multiple ways. You're looking after the people at the roastery and the HQ, and that's your team. And you have all these different teams that are executing their vision. But yeah, man, that is a really tough part of growth and perspective. And too, when even I remember feeling the same way of if I see a company have another location, I'm they're worse now.
Yeah, exactly.
They're suckers. Mm-hmm. They're just trying to make more money.
They're trying to make money. Yeah.
They're trying to make more money.
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
No, but that's
wouldn't know, but there's nothing wrong with that. Hypothetically,
we'll let you know if there's nothing wrong when we actually start making more money.
Yeah.
All that to say, that was a poignant response.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thoughts on dark roast?
Dark roast, yes, yes. Oh, there you go. I guess that was my thought. That's funny. That reaction.
Yes.
Yes. I was reading. Oh man, what is it called? It's this article that Rob Hughes wrote about the dark side. It's been a fascinating article. I can send you a link to buy it.
You buy the article?
You buy the article because it's
sweet.
it's substantial.
It's an ebook.
Somewhat.
A booklet?
Like a e
Pamphlet.
like a e pages.
Got it.
It's a lot.
Great.
It's like 60 pages,
Holy crap.
Whoa.
I think. But it's fascinating. But the reason why I started reading it is because I had been starting to think, like, do we need a darker roast in our lineup? We have a blend called Late Night, and it is the darkest roast we have. It's a little bit smoky, you know. It's not oily by any means, but in our lineup we categorize our coffee in 3 ways: classic, contemporary, or avant-garde. And it kind of spans the spectrum of exactly what you would think fit into those categories. But I love the funky, fruity, high acid. It's just fun, right? I love all the other coffees too, but it's not what I have a bent towards. But I'm starting to think, and Rob Hu's article really like backs up and paves the way on what I'm thinking now, that we are missing, we at Methodical and anyone else who wants to be on the journey, we're missing a major bridge to get customers into specialty coffee. And that is the dark roast. Because Rob Hu's made a good point that roasters spend the majority of their time trying to sell their light roast, fruity, funky coffees. And any more classic, darker stuff that they have, it sells itself. Which is true from my experience, you know, like our Late Night, and then it's not dark by any means, but our Blue Boy blend is like, those are our 2 most popular coffees that we have. And we don't spend all that much time trying to sell them, but we spend tons of time trying to sell the new stuff that's like wacky and fun, because we have to. But the dark stuff sells itself. And I think that a lot of customers, you know, all of us, like we have like a fraction of a decimal of the market share in coffee in general, but even in specialty coffee in the country. And I think a major part of what is going to bridge the gap from us to reach new specialty coffee consumers is showing them that, like, I want to show them that, like, we can roast a really dark coffee like you're drinking, but it's sourced really well. It's good quality coffee. It's consistent. You're like, it's going to be a little bit more complex because of the care that we put into roasting it. You're going to love it. And it doesn't have to be a fruity, wacky coffee. You don't have to take a huge leap to enter into specialty coffee, but you can just like spend $2 more on this bag, or I don't know, $10 more on this bag, depending on what coffee you're buying, and have great dark roasted coffee. And so a lot of my friends and up until very recently myself, I wasn't even thinking about dark roast coffee. I didn't want to do it. I don't necessarily enjoy how it tastes because I never drink it, so I'm not accustomed to it. But I think there is a massive part of the pie that can also be a sort of customer service to people who aren't drinking specialty coffee now because they feel like it's too big of a leap. So if we can find a coffee that's a little bit less expensive, roast it in a way that is more familiar to them, I think we can get a lot more people into the specialty coffee funnel. So I'm excited about dark roast coffee.
We have a business mentor of sorts. He is always telling us all of his vast ideas that he thinks could make us more money. And he, years ago, we didn't want to do cold brew because we love flash brewed iced coffee. And he's like, you guys have got to start doing cold brew. And we were like, no. And then after a long time of that, we were like, okay, maybe we'll do cold brew. And then we did. And then now we make more money.
And guests are happier and all that.
Yeah. And he's always like, you guys have got to have one coffee that you roast the crap out of. Stop with this hipster crap and give you're in the suburbs of Atlanta, give people a dark roast coffee. And we're like, no. Exactly. But now we're like, maybe.
There's 3 samples sitting right over there that we're cupping this afternoon.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, it is funny that like we can operate in a business, and I don't know. I think about family for some reason, but like, you're home for the holidays, or you're like with family, and someone's like, I want to try your coffee, or like go by your shop, and you're always like, you're not gonna like it.
I know.
Exactly.
Why is there that resistance?
You're like, I don't think you should go.
Yeah. Exactly.
But now if you're like, yeah, here, try this coffee, and it's like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing to roast the coffee and sell it on your website, but how do you convey that coffee in your cafes
Good point.
that you do want to serve what you think is objectively the best product?
Well, do you
Yes.
you guys do multiple drip options still? Is that
We have 3 drip options
Whoa.
that fit into our classic, contemporary, and avant-garde. And I do think about this dark roast that I want to do. And to be honest, I have thought, maybe we just won't offer it in our cafe. And what a funny thought. I mean, it's a funny thought because I'm like, people are going to love this, but not in our cafe.
right?
And maybe that is something to visit. Like, maybe it's, I mean, it would certainly be classic.
Yeah.
And right now, if a customer comes into our cafe and comes up and says, I'll have the darkest roast, we'll give them the darkest roast, but it's going to be
Doesn't mean it's a dark roast.
It's going to be medium
Yeah,
to light,
yeah.
you know? And so it would be kind of nice to be able to say, like, we got a dark roast for you, you know?
It would be kind of brutal, but I'm like, so that happens to us all the time. You give them your darkest coffee, and then they walk away. I don't think I've ever had someone come back, but I do want to like catch them later and be like, was that good for you? Was that good enough? Are you going to come back because you just had that coffee, or are you like, oh,
Right.
Yeah.
acid?
Right.
Why does the specialty coffee industry hate dark roast?
I mean, it seems that, well, I'm starting to like look around on people's websites, you know, and I think there are other amazing specialty coffee roasters that have already kind of caught on to this.
Onyx
and
has
have-
one, right?
I think so.
I haven't
yeah.
tried
I haven't had
it,
it.
but it seems pretty dark.
Eclipse, I think is
Yeah.
what they call it.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. I should buy a bag.
We can go in on one together.
That sounds good.
Save some money.
That sounds
a little
good.
better.
Go in
Split
on
it up
one.
50 grams a piece or something.
Send it up the highway.
Yeah. Is that 85, right?
85
Yeah.
to 385 north.
Come on.
Yeah.
You already know.
But what was I talking about?
I'm sorry, that was my fault.
Some coffee
think so.
roasters
Why does
have
this-
already caught on.
There you go. I feel like, I mean, for me personally, there we go. For me personally, I've always, well, I've never enjoyed the flavor of it myself, but I think it's because I don't drink enough of it. I think we can learn to appreciate it. Just like wine is like one of my favorite things in the world, and I didn't used to like how it tasted until I really was like, I want to like this. So like, I want to like a dark roast now, and I have to make steps to do that, and then I'll be able to communicate with so many more people about coffee once I get there. But also, I think the idea has always been you're roasting all of the intrinsic characteristics out of the coffee. So like you're doing an injustice to the coffee, you know? And I don't know. I mean, you're definitely roasting it in a way where it tastes different than it would if you didn't roast it dark. But what is the value of the coffee? Is the value of the coffee only its flavor? Like, I don't think so. You know, I think the value of the coffee is the coffee story and who you bought it from and who it came from and who it's going to and the experience that it's giving your customer and the money that it's supplying your business to pay your people. So when it comes to the value of the coffee being misconstrued for strictly how the coffee tastes, I think that's short-sighted.
My thing is coffee's not coffee until it's roasted. So
What?
So like, and like roasted coffee doesn't have
Like
any
you
value.
can't drink coffee until it's roasted? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, coffee is not beans. Coffee is liquid. You know.
There you go.
So like, for you to say that like, the way you roast that coffee is what defames it. Like, it has to be roasted.
It has to be
So-
roasted.
And there are some coffees that will taste better dark roasted than others.
Yes.
So why can't we celebrate that? Why doesn't
Exactly.
that spotlight the farmer? Mm-hmm. Why does that, throw away all the work that the farmer in Honduras did if we roast it darker? Mm-hmm. Do you think that they care? No.
I don't think so.
I don't. We can ask him.
We can ask
I
him.
don't think so.
Yeah, Lance Hedrick made a Instagram reel about this.
Did he really?
A couple weeks ago.
What did he
Yeah.
say?
He was all for it.
Dark roast?
He was just saying what we're saying right now. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, I guess
I'm pretty much. I think he was, conveying the message of, at Onyx we have this coffee and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
love that.
what a lot of you want, and that's fine, but it's great for other people.
It's what most of
and it's
y'all
still
want, though.
good coffee.
And it opens up a revenue for us to buy so much more coffee from a co-op or a farmer or factory, anywhere, depending on where we buy the coffee. And I think a farmer would much rather us buy a shipping container of their coffee than 10 bags.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to care what
Yeah.
level of roast we put to that coffee.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, I just look at the companies who do have dark roasts like Onyx or Verve. I think Verve literally has a French roast.
Oh,
on their
they call
website.
it French roast?
I think they do.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
they're making a lot more money than me. They know something. I'm not saying it's all
Yeah.
about money, but
Yeah.
they also have an excellent coffee menu of other coffees. But they're willing to do that because they know
Yeah.
that there's a market for it.
They've had that for a long time.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, in a way, I think it's a big part of customer service, providing them with what they want instead of imposing what you want them to have.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like education in specialty coffee is often that. Imposing what you think they should have. That's not education.
Right.
That's just selfishness.
Yeah.
It's like it's not being customer centric to just be like, well, I like this really acidic coffee, and that means everyone does. I've definitely been there though. I've definitely been the one that is so passionate about coffee, which is so valuable, that you end up just like being so consumed in that you forget that there's a human being in front of you that's quite different than you.
What's next for Methodical?
Well, so we've recently purchased the building that we roast all of our coffee in.
congratulations.
Thank you. It is a breath of fresh air, right? Like office, lab space, training space, lounge, production space, green coffee storage. It's 40,000 square feet.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
We're not using all of that right now, but I'm hoping one day we will.
Heck
So we recently moved in there, and now we're set to be able to like produce what we need to produce into the future. So I'm excited about that. And we would like to start opening more coffee shops
That's
in
awesome.
different areas.
That's
not
awesome.
not I honestly don't think anymore in Greenville. But we do want to start opening more shops.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that
That's awesome.
David's area, business operations, or is there?
It is still a combination, which is fun. When
Cool.
when we're starting to talk about coffee shop, we have the business side of it, right? Like acquiring the financing, all the business licensing, structuring. Is it going to be its own LLC? All that. But then we have marketing and design, like Marco does, and then we have the coffee side, like how is training going to go? What equipment are we going to have? What offerings do we want to provide? What's the menu going to be like? So it's still very much an accumulative effort.
Do you think opening cafes, I mean, you want to, so obviously the answer is yes, but to dig a little deeper, do you think it is viable in this economic climate?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think people, like a coffee shop, obviously we rely on volume, right? But yeah, I mean, it's people's approachable self-luxury that they can just rely on. Maybe not on a daily basis. Some people can. But
Oh, yeah.
But because it is like a $4, $5, $6 luxury, it feels like a deal, I think. And I mean, people make it their ritual. We have experienced a lot of signs that, the busyness of our cafes is expanding. So it is a sign that more and more people are drinking coffee. Yeah, I think it's totally viable. And I think the future is even more viable. I think only more and more people are going to start to appreciate coffee in this way. But again, like the environment, the customer service, and the product, I think all have to be present.
You guys ever going to put an Eversys in a cafe?
I don't know. I've never thought about it, but those machines are pretty fascinating.
Yeah. You seen the Mavam undercounter one?
No.
It's like, looks like a mod bar, like module,
yes.
but like it has a,
It's more flat.
Yep.
yeah. And it has a, but it just has buttons and it's all undercounter and it just has like a Ditting style grinder in it. I think basically like a, whatever,
65?
E65 like built into it, and you just press a button and
One espresso, please.
espresso just comes out.
For real?
Yeah.
For real.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, you're talking about dark roast, Will.
Might as well start
Where
talking
does
about
it
super
end?
autos.
Yeah.
What's next?
That's funny.
Yeah, when's your first robot-operated cafe
I
happening?
think people are missing the old Methodical
dude.
now.
Just wait. Yeah. Just
When you
wait.
take away portafilters.
Every exit on I-85 is going to be a Methodical Coffee Hut where a robot makes you a hazelnut latte.
You heard it here first.
Hazelnut latte and a cappuccino is the same size as everything.
Yep.
That's
Well,
great.
yeah. What is one of the biggest value adds to a Methodical coffee, like a cafe, being in a town? Like, what's one of your favorite things about knowing there's a Methodical somewhere?
Well, I mean, I think the town needs to be desiring more coffee, first of all. So I would never want to put a cafe in a space that is happy with the amount of coffee shops that there are. And I think there are ways to find that out. I'm not quite sure how right now, but surely there are.
Data.
Data. That's how. Shoot, I should have said that. There's data to figure that out. But I think a benefit to a Methodical is we would hopefully be putting a coffee shop in an area where a coffee shop is needed. So we got to do our research there. But then I think I'm just excited to give people that trifecta. You know, it's going to look good. It's going to feel good. You're going to have a good experience. It's going to taste good. And the full experience will not be lacking, which is going to be cool. I think it'll be fun to be a contender in that arena with other people in whatever community we join.
That's awesome.
Like, I do have thought. I don't necessarily think we as a company are doing, not that I don't think, I know. We're not doing anything that other people aren't doing, you know? Like, there's nothing new that we are bringing to the table per se. Like, and that's the thing. That's why I think we have to make real human connection, is because the coffee world, there's nothing new in it right now. I mean, I'm sure people are like creating new brewing techniques.
Cold foam. Cold foam.
Next level pulsar.
Cold foam, pulsar. Yes.
It's like, does
you're right.
Methodical have cold foam?
Now we will tomorrow.
Us
But
too.
we're not bringing anything new to the table. So it just has to be. We just have to hit those points: the experience, the environment, the product. We just have to hit those well and provide a good experience for people. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to come to us because we have something that other people don't have. I think they're just going to come to us because it's a good opportunity for them, and we happen to be there. And hopefully, we give them an experience where they want to keep coming back.
You said you have a chef and a head baker. Mm-hmm. As you grow, do you think about like what? I didn't do my research. What does your food program look like? Is it still just like coffee and pastries, or are you wanting to evolve to like meal moments?
2 of our 3 coffee shops are just coffee and pastries, but one shop has a full breakfast menu. And it's amazing. That's where our kitchen is. That's where we do all of our baking to disperse to the other shops. Anna is our head baker, so she is in charge of just like running that department, new concepts, distributing baked goods, all that. And then Perrin is the chef, and he builds the menu, trains everyone, like teaches, like says this is how our food is going to be, and it's amazing. The breakfast sandwiches, we have 3. They are some of the best in town. They're amazing.
I can't hear about them anymore because I'm gonna really get hangry. So
I'm angry.
We need to move on quick.
Hey,
That's amazing.
last question, and then we'll wrap. what is a piece of advice you would give us to make Valor better?
Good question.
The first thing that popped in my mind is to keep delegating. I think the main holdup I see in not just coffee companies, but I see mainly coffee companies, is that the owners of coffee companies are too slow to delegate and trust the people that they delegate to. And that is like, for us, that has been massive to like say, we need to keep growing. So we have to step out of this position, put people in this position and allow them to make mistakes, make their own decisions, keep in line with them so that we hold the same values, vision, mission. Don't let them just be by themselves because then they won't feel supported. But I would say it seems like y'all are doing an amazing job at it, but keep delegating and trusting the people that you delegate to.
That was good.
You okay, Ethan?
We were reading through, what's the book called? Unreasonable Hospitality
I'm reading that
together.
book right now.
Dude.
That's hilarious.
You said something about affordable luxury, so I knew.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I mean, I know it's a thing, but he mentions it in the book as well.
And in the beginning, he's talking a lot about the tension between like excellence and service, like hospitality and quality. But later, I don't know how far you are in the book, he starts talking about another tension between trust and control.
Oh, wow.
As he's growing the company. And that's a very real thing that we're running into when it comes to like growth. I'm sure that you've been through is like handing off trust is relinquishing control, but
Yes.
you gotta have a little bit of both and finding that sweet balance. So it's
Yes.
a good word.
Amazing.
And that forces innovation, right?
Yeah.
Because you have
it
to like
does.
kind of go for it and be like, all right, what did we learn and what is the best thing to do now? You know,
Dude, thanks so much for coming down here.
This is fun.
we're
Thanks
spoiled.
for having me.
We were absolutely
We'll see you next
spoiled.
week, right?
Yeah, next week I'll be here.
Cool.
It's an easy drive down I-85.
We'll have to do our next one at Methodical.
Yeah,
That'd
there
be
we go.
fun.
I'm sure you got-
in this
yeah.
roasting
Yeah.
space.
You got room for a little podcast.
If you ever
studio,
have
right?
Absolutely,
a
yes.
dead second in there, just
we got dead second.
Just give us some of them dead
From
seconds.
like 2 to 4 a.m.
yeah,
Roasters
it's
not
the only
on.
time something's going.
That's hilarious. That'd be
All right,
fun.
man.
Seriously, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone's going to love this.
I hope so. That'd be
All right.
fun.
Thanks for listening. Love y'all.